Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm trying to defeat Martin by playing the same move on both boards. If I get checkmated on either board, or I can't make a legal move on both boards, I lose. Let's get started with game number one. Alright, game number one, of course I've given myself the white pieces for both boards since I'm going to have to make the same move on each. And I think my game plan here is broad strokes just to play a super active game on both boards, so I have a whole bunch of different options. Right, if there's a lot of tension on the board and I have a whole bunch of pieces that can make moves, then it seems more likely that I'll have a good move that I can find on both boards. You can see Martin already has a different move on either board. We have e5 versus e6, but luckily nothing too different. So I'll continue with my plan of just developing a whole bunch of pieces. We're met with d6 on the left and d5 on the right, so we're getting very different positions now. I don't think it's too big of a concern. Of course, I'm playing this against the Martin bot because he's much more likely to overlook moves and make blunders, so I'm just going to keep developing pieces. Okay, knight c6 on the left and queen d6 on the right. Now this is where it starts to get a little bit tricky, right? Because for example, if I play knight b5 on the right board, it's really likely that Martin will just give up the queen. On the other hand, if I play knight b5 on the left board, then I'll be the one giving up the knight on d6 pretty much for no reason. And since my goal is to get checkmate on both boards, I really can't afford to be completely losing on one, even if I am winning on the other. But I am playing against Martin, so I don't really have anything against losing a knight on the left if it means that I win a queen on the right. I think that's pretty reasonable. So I'm going to play knight b5 on both boards, intending to sack it on the left board and hopefully win the queen on the right board. Oh, nice! Okay, wait, this actually works out perfectly. So we get queen to h4 on the left side. Martin says, I'm not going to get one queen. We're going to go ahead and double it and give me two queens. Because what I can do now is take on d6 on both boards. Of course, on both boards, it's still check since we have the king on e8. And then on the next turn with both of my knights, I can play knight to h4 and win that second queen. So I should be in to have advantage on both boards. I'll play knight takes d6 first, which does force a recapture of some kind. We get the pawn takes on the left board, and of course pawn takes on the right board is the only move. And we'll go ahead and capture that second queen. Knight takes h4, and I guess just knight to h4 on the second board. We get f6 on the left, and a pawn capture on the right. So I am winning. I'm objectively winning, at least by material, on both boards. Now I just have to figure out how to coordinate my pieces to somehow deliver checkmate on both, which I'm not really sure is going to be possible. I might have to just go and try to win all of his material first. And if I can manage to do that, then against a lone king, I'll figure out some way to make symmetrical moves and get a checkmate on both boards. That shouldn't be too difficult. The hard part is going to be getting rid of all of his pieces on either side. And it's going to get even more difficult as the butterfly effect sort of kicks in and the boards get more and more different. So I really need to grab as much material as I can early on. I'm also looking for similarities in the position to see where I can start simplifying. For instance, bishop b5 on both boards I think makes sense, because maybe I can lure one of these knights out on the right board and then get a symmetrical trade, right? Because that's what I need. I need symmetry across both boards so I can continue to make beneficial moves. So we'll start with that. Bishop to b5 I think is reasonable. Okay, not really what I was expecting, but Martin does figure out the cheat code for these sort of games by playing bishop to h3, which of course I cannot capture because I don't have the equivalent capture on the right board. So this bishop is pretty much immune, and I don't really want to take this knight because then I'd have to give up the bishop over here, which seems nonsensical. What I do think makes sense on both boards, however, is to simply castle. Keeping my king safe just seems reasonable, and I don't have to overthink that. All right, knight e7 on the left versus f5 on the right. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to play to continue to develop my pieces. I think I have a lot to gain by developing my pieces because realistically, I can't count on the pawns to capture anything, right? Because unless that capture is available on both boards, they will just never be able to take anything. So I think I need to do it with my pieces instead. I'm going to play a4 on both boards with the intention of playing rook to a3, rook to h3, which would win me the bishop, but Martin makes my life 10 times easier. We get knight d7 on the right, bishop takes g2 on the left. I cannot recapture with the knight. Oh, I can't recapture with either piece. I thought I could take back with the king here and then just take back here as well. But of course I have a pawn on that square, so I can't even recapture. Okay, question is, do I play g3? Oh no, I can't play g3 because I've lost the pawn. Oh, that's kind of a shame. Wow, these pawns are going to be quite the headache. Okay, I'm going to play rook to e1 on both boards just to make sure that I don't lose any material that I don't need to lose. We do get bishop to h3 on the left. Oh, perfect. Knight to c6 on the right. I'll go ahead and trade off. Because if I can get rid of, like I said, his entire army and just have that king left over, then I'm in great shape. Okay, we'll continue with the original plan of rook to a3. If I activate my pieces, then I will have a lot of captures available. Nice, we get bishop to e7 and h5. Now I can just take this bishop for free. On the right side board, I'll make the symmetrical tactical move and just move the rook to h3. g5 on the left, rook to h7 on the right. I am going to prioritize keeping my pieces safe, somehow. Oh, this is interesting. This tactic doesn't work. Of course, if it were a single board, I could simply play knight g6, should the pawn take, I have rook takes h8, and I skewer Martin's entire position there. Unfortunately, since the tactic isn't symmetrical, if I play knight g6 here, I wouldn't have a way to play rook to h8 to follow through on the idea. So I think a lot of my tactics are going to have to be one-move tactics, basically. I think it's very doubtful that I'm going to see even a two-move tactic, because even that requires a lot of symmetry. So question is, how do I save this knight? Do I just play knight to f3 and gamble that he's not going to take it? Right, because that would kind of be an issue, because there would be no way for me to recapture, because I would have the knight still on this side of the board. That's the other thing, is I don't want to lose material that makes it so that I have certain pieces on the left that I don't have on the right. Because that would definitely make it so that eventually I just run out of moves. But it's Martin though, like what are the odds? What are the odds he actually takes my piece? Oh, what are the odds he plays g4 and forks? You know what? We're just going to full send knight to f5. Knight to f5 is a beautiful outpost on the left and a totally risky move on the right, but I'd be willing to bet he's not going to take back. And he takes back, wonderful. Okay, so I have a knight to a knight on f5 now that I can never move again because I don't have a knight on the right board. So how to proceed? Okay, I'd imagine I should just continue developing pieces, and eventually Martin will give me free material. So I'm gonna play b3 on both boards with the intention of putting the bishop on the long diagonal. We get a5 on the left, knight to f6 on the right. Doesn't change all that much. We'll keep developing our pieces, bring the bishop out, bishop to d8 on the left, and knight to e8 on the right. Oh, it's fine. It's becoming more and more difficult to find symmetry in the position anywhere. Okay, let's develop the rook to e3. I think if I just sort of blindly throw pieces in his general direction, eventually I'll get something free. Okay, this is kind of terrifying. We get g5, rook to b8 is a total non-issue, but g5 is a little bit scary. I don't actually think that Martin is even capable of coordinating a brutal attack on the queen side, or rather on the king side, but he could accidentally walk into some sort of tactic like this. Okay, for the next couple of moves, I'm going to try and just waste moves until eventually I get something for free and count on my piece activity to basically carry me to a victory. Nice. Okay, this worked out amazing because we have h5 on both boards. So I have the same coordination on both sides. I can take with my rook. Should Martin's rook take back, I simply recapture with the queen on both sides. Oh no, you've got to be kidding me! Wait, why would he not take back here? Oh, I've just lost a rook because now he's captured on h5, which means obviously I can't recapture because I can't do the same thing on the left side. Oh, I might just have to hang out here for a second and hope this rook stays here. But the problem is if this rook moves away and then he captures, then I definitely can't take back because then the rook would just come back on the right side and recapture my queen. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. I mean, over here this is a free rook, but obviously I don't have this rook anymore, so I can't take it. Oh, this could be really bad. Okay, let's make a waiting move and hope that he takes here and doesn't move this rook. Oh, d4, you've got to be kidding me. Okay, this isn't not the end of the world. We'll make another waiting move. I could also just take on c6, to be honest. If I'm desperate enough, I could just take on c6 and just try to kamikaze all of his pieces off the board. Like, I don't think that would be completely unreasonable. But if I want to keep my options open, I should keep material on the board. So I guess rook g3 it is. Wow, he's really just done nothing about any of this tension. That's kind of insane. And the thing is, I can't move this rook at all because I don't have the same thing on the right side. So I really do just kind of have to wait this out. We get pawn to b5. I'm just going to move my bishop back. I mean, I just can't do anything about these pawns. So I guess my priority is just keep material on the board. So we'll do that. All right, pawn takes. Rook goes back over here. Wow, I can't believe he's just genuinely completely ignoring this. That's kind of surprising. I would play d3 to get this pawn structure a little more solid, but I just can't afford this capture. So we wait. I suppose h3 and h3. Oh, the rook moves out of the way and this rook is spared. Okay, so now I have, at least I didn't lose the rook, but I do have this rook now that will never move again either. Ugh, is there anything I can do here? You know what? Let's move the rook. Oh no, but this pawn covers it. Maybe I just genuinely need to just wait. I'm just gonna wait for free material. That's my new strategy. Might have to risk the en passant here to try and keep this pawn at bay, so we'll play c4 on both sides. Oh, rook b5. Oh, that would be such a free rook for me to take if I could do the same capture over here. But like we decided, pawns are kind of useless. So we wait. Ooh, okay, this rook is getting threatened. The only safe square on the right board is c3, but rook c3 over here leads to a pawn capture, which I wouldn't be able to take back because of course this rook would be on c3, and that would also mean that then I have a rook over here that I can never move. Yeah, it's getting to that point where I have to play a little bit desperately, so we'll play rook takes on both sides and just see what happens. Okay, he takes back on the left and takes back on the right. At least we got a pawn for our rook. I suppose that could have gone worse. Yeah, I think it's just gotten to the point where the positions are so different that I can't do anything about this. Because I was really hoping I'd be able to just take so much material that I can just checkmate the king and finesse the victory, but I might have to just go for a crazy attack right from the jump. Because to be honest, this is almost resignable. Like all of these pieces are completely frozen and kind of useless, and I don't think I have enough material to somehow win but all of his pieces on both sides. And actually, like, even if you only had a bishop on the board, I would have to somehow, like, for example, these are opposite colored bishops. So I will almost, well, I suppose if he loses the g5 bishop, I would be eternally chasing these two bishops that can never even be on the same square on both boards, right? So I don't even know how I would eliminate all of his pieces. It would genuinely take so many moves that I think it would just be almost impossible. Okay, so I'm going to finish playing this out, but this is pretty close to resignable. And I think on the next game, what I'm going to try to do is just checkmate him as fast as physically possible. So we'll play this out first. This is a level of game over that I've just never encountered. Like, all of these pieces are completely glued to their squares since I don't have the equivalent on the right board. So eventually Martin will just take them, even though it's a blunder. It's Martin, he'll do it. And he'll just come down and take all of my pieces just by RNG. So to be honest, this is pretty resignable. I'm just going to speed through the rest of the game. Oh, no, I've played king to g2 on the left board, but I don't have that on the right board. Okay, with that, we do lose game number 1. Let's go ahead and try out our different strategy for game number 2. All right, game number 2, of course, I've given myself the white pieces again because that last round felt pretty hopeless. But with our new strategy, we are going to try and attack him as quickly as possible from the get-go. This will either work fantastically within like 15 moves, or we will be brutally destroyed. But to be honest, it seems like my only chance. So far pretty similar position, but now we have f6 on the right and knight to c6 on the left. The interesting thing is that inherently doesn't change the position that much, but because of, I guess, a species of butterfly effect, in like 7 moves, that will make a huge difference. So I do have to try and wrap this up as fast as possible. Let's go ahead and gambit the f4 pawn. Again, piece activity is going to be critical here. We get queen to h4 on the left, bishop e7 on the right. We already know that pawns don't do anything, but as far as blocking the check goes, g3 seems reasonable. Oh, thank goodness the queen did not take, because I definitely would not have been able to take back. We get f5 on the right, queen e7 on the left. Let's go d3. D3, though, doesn't actually defend anything. But again, it will get our pieces out. So let's get our pieces developed as fast as possible. Pawn takes on f4 on the left, c5 on the right. Let's continue to develop f3 on both sides. I want to castle, I want to get the rook on the f-file, and hopefully we can play for some sort of f7 mate. Queen b6 on the left, or rather queen b6 on the right, f5 on the left. Let's definitely get the king out of the way before the center opens up anymore. b5 on the left, and pawn takes on the right. It's kind of starting to get a little bit similar. We'll drop the bishop. Ooh, if I drop the bishop back here, surely Martin won't see this discovered check to win the bishop. That would just be not very Martin of him. So let's go bishop b3 on both boards. Okay, that's more like it. Queen to h6 on the right, pawn takes g3 on the left. Is not ideal, but I don't think it's that scary. Let's take on f5 on both boards, and then we have this really nice open file we can play down. Okay, queen goes back to b6. We get the pawn take on the left side of the board. I do have to move my king out of the way, which is totally fine. We get bishop a6 and queen to b5. Okay, naturally, I suppose we go, ooh, wait a second. Ooh, wait a second. If I go rook to e1 now, I mean, it does skewer the queen, but if we get a crazy queen sacrifice, I wouldn't be able to take back, right? Because there's no way that he can capture my rook on the right side. But it's Martin. Like, what are the odds he doesn't just leave the queen? And the thing is, if I don't take material wherever I can, then this is kind of doomed anyways. I have to play fast and aggressive, even if I rely on a little bit of RNG. No! Oh, you've got to be kidding me. Okay, he does take on e1. Wait, does that mean I'm checkmated? No, I mean, I guess I have king to g2. This is kind of futile. What? Martin gets pawn promotion checkmate? You've got to be kidding me. I mean, I guess Martin never misses checkmate in one, so I guess it makes sense that somehow all his brain cells activated at the same time and he decided to promote into a queen and get that checkmate. I can say nothing but GG's. With that, we do lose the challenge against Martin of all bots. If you guys did enjoy this video, please consider liking and subscribing. Let me know down below if you have any strategy that you think I should have tried for this, or if you would have done this somehow differently. And thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.